Hello, game changers. Welcome to another episode of It is in the Air. This is our spiritual flowcast, our weekly energy review on a spiritual level, kind of like the spiritual forecast, but in the flow. My name, I don't know if I said it, is Juniper Blue Mystique. I am an Ascension Master, Master Healer, and Divine Guide. I have spent since 2019, since I had a Kundalini awakening, dealing with things of the ascension and the return of Christ. So those are the things that I talk about. Everything that I have done and I talk about is available on this channel to see. And getting to know me is also available for you to do on this channel. So I encourage you to check out the playlists, this channel that you find this video on, and you'll get a better introduction into who I am. But we're going to jump right into it. So in this video, or in this week's rendition of It's in the Air, you guys, this is going to be quite the hot topic. So I asked God or my guides or whoever about the eclipse, the upcoming eclipse on April 8th. That is biblical. It is part of the prophetic end of days prophecy, the end times signs. And when you accompany that with the work that I did, and then the channeled message that I got about it today, well, we're going to get into that, okay? But first, we're going to do our little newscast, our energetic flowcast, and then we will talk about that. And then I've got some cards for us to pull, okay? And so this truly is for the week ahead, but also for the eclipse. What is this eclipse? What should we expect for the eclipse? What is going to happen with this eclipse? Because there's a lot of talk about end times prophecy with it, but it also makes sense with what I did. So we're going to talk about that. All right, you guys. So this week is going to be a little spicy, right? There's a little bit of spiciness to this week. I feel that for sure. So coming up this Friday, we have Spellcast theme going forward for Friday's Spellcast. So on Friday, I will be uploading and making something, channeling something for clearing your future path. Road to fruition. Switching to a positive mindset. So we are going to do a spell casting for that purpose, for those purposes, for the road to fruition, and for switching to a positive mindset, because no matter how positive we want to be, we always want to make sure we're clearing the muck there. All right. And then, like I said, we're definitely going to talk about the eclipse. I channeled what it is, what they wanted me to say about it. But first, our hot topic drum roll of the week. Of this week, from this Monday forward, this is March 18th. This is for Monday, March 18th, through this Friday, Saturday, and maybe even into Sunday. All right. So the weekly energy forecast focus, it's about spotlighting what does not align. There's a lot of energy, but I think that's going to continue going forward for a long time because we are in the end game. It's about changing the game. It's about being the game changers, right? And I talk about that. That is when we are healing things to rise and we are changing who we are, what we're doing, why we're doing things the way we're doing them. We're changing the way we're doing things and we're realigning. And so there's a spotlight in the energy, especially heightened this week, into what does not align. So pay attention to those. Heed the nudges, take the nudges to quit doing a bad habit or to let something go that you need to let go of. Take those nudges wisely. It says that adjustments are required. So readjustments are required. So I channeled all of this right before, I got on. So I am reading it. It's my prompts, my newscast. All right, so expanding our knowledge base with action. Okay, so that's taken us into that part of the energy going forward this week. The energy this week truly is about expansion, but expansion of the mind, expansion of our knowledge base. But the most important thing about learning something is when we take the action to implement it. So taking the action to implement what you are learning will solidify it into your knowledge base. It helps it become a permanent muscle memory, muscle gain, memory of the mind space into your permanent memory banks rather than your temporary ones. So learn it, feel it, experience it, and then put it to action. Okay, so pick something, expand something that you really want to learn about. Something, either if you're in school, take that deeper. Pick a book, take something that you've been wanting to learn and learn it. Or even ask yourself, what is it that I need to learn at this time? And the first thing that comes to mind, act on it. Okay, grab some knowledge about it, learn it, see it, feel it, and then implement it. That's super important for this week. Okay. And putting it to action is key. A lesson to be had, something to learn. So there is something to be gained in mistakes, but there's energy also of like something's coming back around. Okay, so take it as a lesson to be had, lesson to be learned, and do it right. Okay. Okay, and then we have a focus of self-love is super important. Super important. It's like, I feel like this is all in caps, is a focus of self-love, because I feel like that's the most important thing we can do this week, is to truly love ourselves. Take your self-love to a deeper level. And then expand our knowledge base, but actually put it into action and truly just love ourselves and nurture ourselves like we never have before. I feel like that's a necessity. It's in capital. It's all caps. All caps. Very important, my friends, this week. Self-love. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. And then there's an energy that comes in of frustration, especially towards midweek to the end of the week. Some frustration in there. So in that frustration, just focuses, I have them right next to each other, self-love and the energy of frustration coming in. So use the focus of self-love to get through the frustration. But there's something super important this week, and I don't know where I wrote that, but do not make any harsh judgments or decisions. Okay. And everything that presents this week, especially relationship-wise, ask a lot more questions before any decisions are made or documents are signed. Okay, that's super important this week going forward. Very important. Do not sign any documents. Do not make any decisions. Sit with things, think about them, expand into them. Give them time to ferment and process before you decide and solidify and make any changes of certainty. Okay. Or people can be compelling sometimes too. I feel like this is important to talk about in the energy, is because people can be compelling. They can sound very convincing, like they know exactly what they're talking about, and it's super important, and there's nothing else that can be right. But it's just, I would say, don't get caught up in those moments. Take your time with everything. There is no need to make any decisions on the spot this week. I feel like that's just not a good idea. It's not that the decisions might not be a good idea to make. I would just not make them, like, sit with it for 5 seconds, right? Or 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Sit with it, let it, feel it, experience it, and then respond. Okay. Just ask for more answers. I feel like that's the most important part of that. That's what I'm seeing here, is it's like it's super important to ask a couple questions. Ask a couple questions first, right? Just dig a little deeper for some truths. Ask a few more questions, dig a little deeper, before you make your final decision. Okay. And then gaining knowledge helps provide answers in the world around us. So I feel like on this whole gaining knowledge, it's not just those answers. I feel like it's going to open up much more understanding and further perspective into the world around you this week on a whole, on a greater level, on a wider range, more than what you were searching for. Does that help with that? So if you search for the expansion of knowledge this week, you are going to get an expansion of knowledge further than what you were searching for to begin with. Okay. And then what's interesting, you guys, is as I was getting this one, I got a word that came through, and I got to talk about this word a little bit. I got to talk about this word before we go into our tool bag and stuff, because it didn't make sense to me. I'm like, why am I getting this word? But I'm going to talk about it. There's 2 parts to this word. The word that I heard and the way that I heard it was in-trepidation. In-trepidation. And I'm like, okay, what is that? Let me look that up. I know I've heard that word. I just haven't used it in a while. What am I hearing? What am I saying? There's two meanings to this word. The word trepidation with just T, is a little bit different than the word intrepidation. Intrepid means person or actions that is bold and brave, but that's different than the other part of it, which is trepidation, a nervous or fearful feeling of uncertain agitation. So one definition of it is trepidation, a nervous or fearful feeling of uncertain agitation. So it means I'm nervous, I'm anxious, I have fear. It's causing intrepidation or trepidation. But then if I use it in the intrepidation, intrepid means a person that is bold and brave. So how can I be both bold and brave and fearful, nervous and anxious and agitated all at the same time? That was interesting to me. I'm like, why is this word coming up? Why am I getting these two different aspects of it? I found that to be very, very interesting. And then the meaning of the word is either brave and bold or fearful, agitated and nervous. And I feel like right now in the energy this week, we're going to have one or the other. Some people are going to feel brave this week. Some people are going to feel bold. They're going to want to take risks. They're going to want to have movement. Other ones are going to have nervousness and have fearful feelings and be agitated. Okay. And so that those two things are coming up together all at one time in one word. I found that to be quite interesting. Okay, so there we took some expanding of knowledge, unless you already knew all that. I was like, oh, that was cool. Okay, all right. And then after that is what came through is that in everything that presents this week, it's especially relationship wise. So this can be any kind of relationship that you form. Ask a lot more questions before any decisions are made. Okay. Just ask more questions. Just don't do anything blindly. Oh, I dropped my pen, but I don't think I need it. So we're just going to keep moving on. All right. So we are getting to the eclipse stuff that we're going to talk about, but we have coping strategies for the week now. We are going into a new section of our in the air, our flow, our spiritual flow cast. All right, for this week, coping strategies going forward is physical focus. Spirit showed me a lot of a physical focus this week, self-love, self-nurturement, but even to a physical level, you need movement, you need exercise, you need to get oxygen into your body, into your mind. So things like yoga would be good, things like Tai Chi, Qigong, those kinds of exercises, super, super beneficial. Stretching, meditating, super, super important. Physical focus, physical balance this week. Okay. Create and implement a health plan with exercise and an eating health check-in. So check in on what we're eating, but to create a doable minimalistic exercise plan, right? Like I'm going to walk 10,000 steps a day. Just implement one thing into an exercise plan every day this week. Okay, super important. All right, and then in our tool bag this week that will help us going forward, also, I got a few different colors like burgundy, orange, gold, and even teal came through as some base colors that'll help calm the energies, help us get through. Now remember, there was two energy bases. One was agitated and the other one was brave and calm. So it's probably all depending upon which side of the energetic base you're on, especially going into this crazy moon eclipse, spring equinox portals that we're in. Then there was violet, lavender, and silver and gray colors also coming through. We have heat, like a heating pad can help this week, which sounds like maybe an odd thing, but that came through. I feel like I need heat, I need warmth, I need a blanket, I need coziness and warmth. Emotional support is coming through as a part of a tool bag option this week. So I need heat, I need a warm blanket, I need hot cocoa, you know, some warm tea, some chamomile tea, some emotional support. Okay, so don't be afraid to call on that this week, to ask for that. But also, I feel like it's super important to tune in to give that to ourselves. Okay. And sometimes that can be the worst and the last thing that we do. Sometimes some of us are good at that and some of us are not, right? And when we're hurting, sometimes we do it less than usual. So be mindful of that. Also, it's time to have some fun in there. Make sure you take some time this week to have some fun, some game time, some laughter time, some joy, enjoyment. Okay. And then it came through as like peaches are really good support this week. Peach tea, marmalade, and nectar. And then orchids and also juniper came through as part of the tool bag components for support for this week going forward. Dun, dun, dun. So you have your coping strategies of a physical focus, nurturement, growth, exercise, pushing yourself to the limits a little bit, and also balance within that. And within the tool bags, you've got some colors coming through so far. And some other things. Then some chakras came through for some focus this week. And an interesting chakra came through for a focus this week as well. So we have the sacral chakra and the crown chakra, and then it goes into the 22nd chakra. And so I did a little bit of looking into the 22nd chakra, and I got a couple things. I got it's a purification center. It helps to remove toxins and waste, which I just got done doing my detox workshop. I'm still putting that PowerPoint together. And when I saw that, I'm like, of course, you know, we went into a deep detox of the entire full self. And so there is a chakra that actually helps to do that too. And apparently the 22nd chakra, just even setting the intention to focus on it, will help you do that. There was a few colors that came through. There was two different, like I looked this up a couple times and got different meanings in different places with it, but the color green and water went with it. But I also got the color gold for it. And it's an enlightenment center in that of itself. So the 22nd chakra, the crown chakra, and the sacral chakra. Okay, the crown chakra, the seed root mantra is Ah. And the sacral is Vam. I use those a lot. Vam or Ah. Crown chakra, right? Like when we talk to God or Allah or Buddha. Ah. So those are important this week, which makes sense for self-love, truly. And also even a physical aspect of need to strengthen your physical vessel. Okay, so just tune in to the intent of those chakras, to healing them, to opening them, to giving them love this week, to helping them be in balance. That chakra is also said to provide wisdom, innovation, knowledge, and other things. So then I got some crystals that would be good for this week coming forward, which is moonstone. Any moonstone would be wonderful, beneficial, super, super helpful right now. And even going through the eclipse, sun and moonstone would both be beneficial. We have spotted jasper and amazonite. Amazonite came through as super important this week. Some foods that can help support you through this week are carrots, ginger, lemon, oranges, and pineapple. And even tomatoes and some salads, things nurturing nurturement. So even potatoes and things. Okay. Now, my friends, are you ready for the hot topic of hot topics? I channeled about the eclipse, remember? So we're going to see what God had to say about the eclipse. Now, if you are familiar with anything that I do, well, first I'm going to show you some videos that are going around. And if you know anything about the work that I've done, or if you've ever watched my channel and you're familiar with it, I've done a lot of things to the moon and pyramid activations and with Jesus and the blood and the crystalline grid and all of this return of Christ stuff that just started coming through me. And the moon and the sun were done, a lot of things were done to them. Okay, especially during Horus return activation workshop that we did recently, where that part of that time of that life rose from the Sphinx, the Nile. All of these things are very important to this work. But I'm going to show you something really quick, and then we're going to tell you what God said about this eclipse. Okay, so a lot lately it's being talked about. There's a lot being talked about with the eclipse. It is a hot topic right now. Of course it is, because it's in the energy. People can feel it. You can't deny it. It's something big, and it is biblical. No matter which way you slice it, it's not normal. Things are strange. Things are happening strange. There's all kinds of signs. And so just opening up my phone this morning, I was like, bam, 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 bam. I'm like, okay, yep, that's definitely in the energy. So 3 days of darkness prophecy and the solar eclipse on April 8th. The reason it truly, I can guarantee you it is biblical, is because it goes with all of the ascension, the return of Christ work that I did. As I was undoing the unholy grail and uniting Jesus and Mary Magdalene and bringing down the blood of Christ, the actual blood, we brought it into the earth and into the crystalline grid. And as I was activating pyramids, I was also cleansing a lot of darkness from the moon. I did things to the sun. I eliminated the false concept of the moon. And then I did a lot more to the crystalline grid, the other moon stuff, more shadow stuff. There was actually quite a bit of stuff that I did to the moon and the sun. And even up until recently, okay, so I undid the false concept of time, the false negative pull of the moon here. This was a few years ago now. Then it was pyramid activations. So it kind of started with the moon, and then it circled back to the moon with Horus returning. We did more to the moon. The moon comes into play a lot of times, and so does the sun. I did things to the sun. Took us into 7D. Here's more. Okay, so this one, look at this one. Ascension phase. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right. Yeah. It's ascension phase, anchoring moon, solar eclipse, elimination phase 1 complete. I've done so many things you guys may not be aware of. Some of you might be, some of you might not be. So I know it's biblical, it's prophetic, it's part of the return of Christ. I know that these eclipses are not normal. What I did to the eclipse on the 25th, so proud. I did more things to the changing and the movement of the sun and the moon and the alignment of the planets and things, because the ascension is more than just the earth. It's universal bound. It's in the ethereal. It's 7. I took us into 7D instead of 5D. Processing her death. I'm constantly doing things to the sun and the moon. I'll go to the sun and I'll take chunks and I'll shove it into the earth. And so look, full moon eclipse. This is amazing. Part 2 of what I did on October 25th. What did I do on October 25th? I don't know. I usually post it after that. So these are all important. This is all part of the Ascension playlist. So you guys, I would take these are so cool. It's so cool to see the truth and what really happened and to watch all of this unfold, but also to know the components of what the return of Christ is, but also what they messed with and what they changed. And now what's being undone in your reality. Okay. So this upcoming April 8th eclipse, this is a big deal and it's talked about a lot. So I haven't seen any of these. We're going to watch one of these together, kind of do a reaction video.
Question. Would you build a website?
Question. I have answers. All right, so let's do this together the best we can.
A total eclipse of the sun will plunge millions of viewers from daylight into darkness for more than 4 captivating minutes in parts of the country. And excitement is already building as so-called eclipse tourists rush to book travel to be in its path.
Literally, the stars are aligning.
The total eclipse will span a 115-mile wide path across 13 states from Texas to Maine.
As witnesses,
We have encountered a succession of recent events that transcend our imagination in recent years. From the inexplicable one-day tea outage to the sudden shutdown of Facebook and Instagram without any apparent justification. The Red Sea is mentioned amidst reports of cut cables, while banks face difficulties 1 year after the onset of the banking crisis in 2023. Meanwhile, the value of Bitcoin and gold continues to soar. It's as if the universe is trying to send us a clear message, alerting us to an imminent upheaval. The repetition of tensions and uncertainties from the last election, along with the growing mention of a possible civil war, are just some of the tumultuous elements shaking our world. And amidst all this, the impending arrival of an eclipse in the United States on April 8th, which will leave us in darkness, serves as an additional sign that something momentous is about to happen. Receiving significant attention, and rightfully so, an epic cosmic event is about to occur on April 8th, becoming the most anticipated event for many.
So, like I said, what I did to the moon many times had to do with eclipses. And this is an eclipse. Now, I've said many times in these videos about the alignment of the moon with the sun, and wait until you hear what God said about this eclipse, or my guides, in the energy of it. Now, one of the other more important ones to watch too, that I did, is Horus returns. I had to do things to the moon. I had to like break off this crust of the moon and do all this crazy stuff to the moon, you guys, because it was truly kind of like taken over. It has to do with the Sphinx, the moon, the sun, the poles, the pyramids, the crystalline grid, Mount Shasta, which was not of light at all, power taken back from there to Fiji, it was returned. And it's all very biblical. It truly is prophetic, and it is part and sign of the end of times. But the sun and the moon and the stars and the alignments are very relevant, and they're very real and very important. Let's listen.
A total solar eclipse will plunge millions of viewers into darkness for over 4 minutes in some regions of the country. Excitement is already building, with eclipse enthusiasts rushing to book trips and secure a spot to witness this unique phenomenon. The total eclipse will follow a path 115 meters wide through 13 states, from Texas to Maine, creating a celestial experience not seen every day. There are clear signs that something is about to happen, as recorded in the scriptures. In Amos 8:8-9, the supreme God says, "I will make the sun go down at noon and darken the earth in broad daylight." Furthermore, in Joel 2:28-32, he promises to pour out his spirit on all flesh, resulting in prophecies, dreams, and visions. It is also written that wonders will occur in the...
Now that is interesting, resulting in prophecies, dreams, and visions. Do you know how many people right now are having dreams about the end of days, or having how there was like a month straight I kept hearing people talk about the anointing of the blood of Christ. And I showed you that if you look at, I don't know if I showed you, but on my channel, I did that one. I did that one before I undid the Holy Grail, which was not holy at all, and united Jesus and Mary Magdalene. I brought down the actual literal blood of Christ. I didn't know at that time, though, that it had to do with my twin flame, which that later came into play. So Jesus did not die on a cross, and all of this is a part of it, okay? So I find that very interesting. There's a lot of people who are getting downloads and dreams and visuals of what is happening and what is coming. And some people are still choosing to refuse to hear it and to see all these signs. But that, I didn't see that coming. That is truly happening.
In the sky and on earth, with the sun becoming darkness and the moon turning to blood, before the great and terrible day of the supreme God. The Messiah also mentioned in Luke 21:25 that there would be signs in the sun, moon, and stars, accompanied by the distress of nations and the roaring of the sea and waves. So when I hear about the eclipse, I recognize that our Father is drawing our attention, as he has done over time through various signs. For me, the news of the upcoming eclipse confirms what I already felt, and it harkens to the next 3 days of darkness. In reality, there is a biblical precedent for this event. It is something that our Father carried out in Egypt while pleading with Pharaoh to release Israel. Let us remember the 9th plague, "Stretch out your hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness."
Now, Israel comes into play a lot after I undid the Holy Grail. So I united Jesus and Mary Magdalene, and I undid what they call the Holy Grail. It was not a cup. The Last Supper comes into, like, all of these things came into play in that one, and that happened on Christmas Day, live in 2022 on my channel. I didn't know it was coming. So, and then after that, the Israel stuff started really playing out. And then when it's totally prophetic, you guys. It really is. Let's watch a little bit more. I want to show you a few of these, but I also want to get into the channeled message of what they said about the eclipse. So this is super cool and super important.
Over the land of Egypt, darkness which may even be felt, Yahweh said to Moses. And so it was done. Moses stretched out his hand toward heaven, and thick darkness covered all the land of Egypt for 3 days, Exodus 10:21-22. However, personally, I believe that our father prophesied how all this would occur in the Apocalypse 8, during the fourth trumpet. The fourth angel sounded the trumpet, and a third of the sun, the moon, and the stars were struck, resulting in the partial darkness of day and night, Apocalypse 8:12. But I want to highlight here the private revelations that were reported, covering the period from 11,613 to 1987.
Now, if you're aware of other things too, there's been a lot of trumpets being heard by people all over. Strange noises, strange trumpeting, strange humming. And that's been happening for some time. It's not just one person, you guys. It's many, it's multiple. And there's videos of it that aren't like the alien malls, okay? They're true. They're hard to debunk and hard to dispute. A lot of people are seeing these things. Let's listen.
I ask for your understanding, regardless of your religion, as this video is seen by many people from various regions, and the aim is to raise questions or prepare for something that is to come. And I would like you to leave your respectful opinion on April 8th in the comments. Anna Maria Taiji Revelation of Jesus 19th Century.
Guys, this stuff is like super relevant right now, and a lot of people are seeing it.
Extremely thick darkness will spread throughout the whole world, enveloping the earth for 3 days and 3 nights. During the darkness, it will be impossible to distinguish anything. The air will be polluted by demons, who will appear in all the most disgusting forms. In those days, natural light will be impossible. Anyone who opens the window, looks outside, or goes out the door will die. During these days, they must stay at home praying the rosary and invoking God's mercy. Blessed candles will protect against death, as well as the invocation of Mary and the angels. The chaff will be removed, and the hand of God will again impose order where human effort was already impotent. Earth's punishments will be mitigated, but those of heaven will be universal and astonishing. Millions of men will die by the sword, whether by war or civil strife, and other millions will die from unexpected death. Then, entire nations will return to the unity of the church, and many Turks, pagans, and Jews will be converted, and their fervor will fill the old Christians with confusion. In a word, the Lord told me that he wants to cleanse the world and his church, for which he was preparing a miraculous rebirth, the triumph of his mercy. This vision happened many times. I saw the earth surrounded by flames, covered in darkness, with numerous buildings collapsing, and both the earth and the sky seemed to be in agony. This trial will be followed by a universal rebirth. All this will happen when it seems impossible for the church to face so many persecutions. However, the sun will open to see rivers of blood, and the Virgin will intercede to stop the punishments prepared.
I find this very interesting because I did the Nile. I did the Nile, and in that I actually turned the blood red. That was done, I think, in June of 23. Yep. That's when the Nile came through. So that was also a part of it. There's a lot of things that are being said in here. I'm like, oh my gosh. Some of it, it's like, you have to decipher. Does he, they talk about the demons all over. What do they mean by the darkness everywhere? The thing is I don't feel like we're going to have those answers exactly, because what Spirit says is quite interesting. But if you know the work, if you watch the work, if you pay attention to the way it actually truly unfolded, the way it came through, what I did, the things I say when I activate the volcanoes and cleared the blood of Christ and the anointing and all of this stuff, the answers are there. It's quite deep, quite prophetic, quite profound, and it's hard to fathom, I think, for any of us what's about to unfold. And even myself, like, I feel like it's hard for us to mentally understand every bit of what's about to unfold for what's been undone and what's coming. Let's listen.
It will be a great crisis through which God will purify the church. But I see an astonishing cyclone unleashed. The sky burns, the earth darkens, plagues emerge, revolutions, uprisings, killings, battles, and black balloons traverse the heavens, covering the earth with fire and darkness.
There's a lot of that too, is when I went into a lot of the volcano activations, pyramid activations and things, and did things underwater to the pyramids and different things. I talk about fires a lot. When I processed the earth's death and I took her into the heaven gates, Garden of Eden opened up all over her, and everything that didn't align burned. I talk about fires a lot in the work that I do when I'm clearing the shadow, when I've cleared the tunnels underneath the White House. It all burned. And so, and then the water, I talk about the water a lot, water moving, water waves coming in, changes of tides are going to come in through San Francisco. Because, we cleared Mount Shasta and I cut off life support to that whole area. And it's definitely prophetic and profound.
The corpses of the dead on the outskirts of Rome will be as numerous as the dead fish in this city after a flood of the Tiber. Pestilent darkness, populated by horrifying visions, will envelop the earth for 3 days. The scourge of the earth can be mitigated by prayers, but not that of heaven, which will be astonishing and universal. All the enemies of the church, hidden and apparent, will perish in darkness, with the exception of some whom God will convert later.
And then recently I told you guys he's not in the church. And that even came through on the live I just did recently. It's all there, my friends, and we have so many of these to watch. I don't know if I want to watch the whole thing. But truly it's all here. It's so all here. Let's just keep watching a little bit. I'm hearing.
The air will be polluted by demons, who will appear in the most horrible forms. After the darkness, St. Peter and St. Paul will descend from heaven and preach throughout the universe, designating a pope. A great light will emanate from his person and will settle on the future pope.
See, some of this I don't know that I would believe, because there will be no pope. So I happen to know it's about king and queen, the united kingdom of God, masculine and feminine. So yeah, you can only take things so far. We are limited in the knowledge they will give us in these things. That I can guarantee you, because God tells you, hey, this is how to heal. This is how to rise, not this is the demise. Okay. But there are warning signs so that you know what to do. That's why they're there. All right. So you guys, there's lots of videos out there that you can actually check out that talk about these things. And the crazy thing is they all align with the work that I did. So I really do encourage you to do so. But I'm going to stop sharing the screen now, and I'm going to read to you what God said about the apocalypse, or my guides did right before, the eclipse, the apocalypse, whatever. Now, it truly does go with the work that I did, so I really do resonate with it. I feel deeply for the sun and the moon because I'm highly connected to them. As weird as that sounds, it's very real. So this is what they say. Are you ready for this? This is what was channeled about the upcoming eclipse on April 8th. I said, what is going to happen? What does this mean? What is going to happen? And I heard the time of total darkness is really alignment of power to the core. There is so much energy and power in this alignment. Pure energy and power in this alignment. It is hard to maintain control. Anchor into love and light, solid ground, and do your best to breathing it all through. Okay, so that's what they're saying. This is going to be hard to control, hard to progress through, hard to get through. Anchor into the ground, anchor into love and light, and breathe it through. Ask to be aligned to the highest, best possible alignment for you. It's not what people think, but it's more than you know. Okay. It is changing things into the depths of your soul because time has shifted. So the thing that they're showing me with this message is deep, you guys. They're showing me is that the fact that I did all the work that I did made this alignment what it's going to be. So if there were pieces missed, if we didn't make it as far, like when my original twin flame didn't make it and we got to walk in, if everything stopped then, if we didn't finish every component to what we did finish, it wouldn't be as powerful as it's about to be. But it's about to be pretty powerful because everything was completed and realigned and cleared and purified. So this is one of the most powerful alignments because of the work that I did. It's all these eclipses, all these things that I talked about, that I undid, that I changed, that I moved, that I rearranged. It's real. So it's awesome. So it's not what people think. It's going to be more than you know. Changing things in the depths of your soul. So time has shifted and you can feel it changing your soul. It's changing you to the core of your soul. So this eclipse is an alignment timeline. So a lot of the shifts will occur within and external ones as well. It's an alignment timeline because of the work that everything came together, right? Pretty much everything came together to make it what it's about to be. So it is a massive shift for the planet and universe because the energies are more aligned and powerfully united than they have been in a long time. So Sekhmet and Horus, the separation has been undone and they've been returned in the energy. Adam and Eve, all of this, the karma has been cleared and they've been returned in the energy. And then Jesus and Mary Magdalene, all that was undone and mucked and torn apart was cleared and they've been returned in the energy. And all of the sun has and the moon has been realigned and rearranged. It's insane when you think about the reality of what it is, the totality of what it is, and what it means for our world and what's about to play out. And it's, you know, it's more in energetic form and it's intense and you can feel it from the inside out, right? And does it cause changes in our earth? Yes, it does. And it will continue to do so moving forward. You know, let's keep reading. So it's for the planet and the universe. This shift is for all of it. It's more aligned and more powerful than it has been in a very long time. Okay, this is unprecedented. It's massive. The outcome is and will be different for all. So that's what I was just like, is this like a big solar flash? And the best thing I could get from them is this is going to have a different outcome for everybody involved. It depends on you. It depends on your path. It depends on where you're at in your heart space. Are you all right with God? You know what I mean? Because these energies are so potently aligned and powerful. You guys, the shifts are beyond what our mind can take. Okay. This eclipse is beyond what we can truly fathom and understand in the ethereal realm. And some people might really struggle through it and others might not as much. It just depends on who you are. Okay. Let's read some more. The outcomes is and will be different for all. Some will rise to the occasion and some will fall. Things will forever be different for all. Okay. And then it said, okay, so then I got the vision and they said that the moon has shifted so much and changed so much. Like when Horus returned, I had to undo this false casing on the outside of the moon and the moon is expanding. And if you ever notice anything, there's like weird things happening around the moon, right? They know. So they can tell, they know things have changed, things have shifted. And so the sun is about to touch the moon in places she hasn't touched in a long time. So this power alignment is about to be off the charts, you guys, off the charts. The sun and the moon, the power coming together is about to be off the charts. It's more than some will be able to handle. Okay. The power and activations that are going to come from this are of biblical proportions. When darkness turns to light, is what they said, everything will be made right. It is a paradigm shift of epic proportions. Okay. All right. And then we'll pull a couple cards and we will be done with this week's video. So this week you had the energy for the week. You had your tool bag, good coping tools and mechanisms to focus on. And then we went straight into the ascension timeline, eclipse stuff. Now let's see what the cards have to say also for this week ahead for everybody who watches. Internal explorer. So, you know, these energies are potent, like I talked about, very potent. The activations are off the charts, but the only way to receive them is to be open to receive them. You don't just get them. It's a rite of passage. It's for those doing the work, those tuning in. So I would work really hard every day to tune into the earth and try to heal and align and up level. Okay. Whoop. All right. There's that one. So we have internal explorer. Make sure you're being the internal explorer. Then we got vulnerability. And then we also have unique gifts. So there's a lot of things going on that we don't understand. Everybody's having different things from the next person next to them happen to them, right? So it's really hard to relate. It's really hard to find answers. Allow yourself to feel vulnerable and lost and different and unexplored, and take the time to internally explore your vessels, your emotions, your body, and the earth around you. And that is going to definitely help you going forward this week. Also in the eclipse though, because again, it is unprecedented, off the charts, powerful energy alignment. Powerful energy alignment. God won't give you all the answers to that one because it's beyond what we need to know. It's karmic based. There's a lot of components to it, and it's all biblical. It's all return of Christ based. It's going to affect the whole entire universal flow, not just Earth. Okay, so it's big. We are all in this one. It's like a pressure cooker, right? There's a lot of power coming through. It's big. Oh, I love it when they fall on the floor, don't you? Oh my goodness. Where did you go to? Let's find the card. Okay. Finish this one off, my friends. All right, so we have purity ice, right? Meditate when you need to meditate, take your downtime, and then be ready to take action. There's a time to be still, integrate, process, integrate, and then take action. We've also got volcanoes here. And then the interesting thing again is we have silence here. Okay, so we have power, we have massive, like sudden changes, sudden eruptions, sudden movements, sudden things shifting, so much power, so much. Remember, there was that word of frustration too, right, in the background. And then on one hand, we have snow, we have silence, we have calm gestation. So I find this, and then again, we have this one, which is purity, ice, and then on the top you have action. So those, and that kind of reflects on the contrasting energies that they talk about a lot, right? I think it just depends on who you are. Some of us truly do need to sit in silence and go within, internal explorer. We need to allow the shifts to occur. We need to give space for processing and movement and for power shifts, because if we don't do that, when these power movements hit, we may not be ready to take action or move through them clearly. We won't be able to hear clearly and see clearly otherwise. So I feel like right now we're in a preparation time zone. Be the internal explorer, and be ready for those power shifts and those powerful adjustments to the energy of the earth alignment, the physical alignment of the earth, and the internal alignment of our vessels. Okay. All right. So much love to you all. Thank you for watching this video. We have a little more insight into this eclipse. Even if it doesn't say cause a physical darkness shift, I would be safe to say that it's an energetic one. Because if you know about what I did with the twin flames, with the union of my own twin flame, with clearing all the darkness from this planet, shifting all the poles, moving the pyramids, things like that, it's always darkness being taken out of the earth, and it's like floating around. So consider that if it doesn't make a big blackout as far as light goes on the earth, or cover the sun completely, it's going to cause darkness in those it resides in to rise. Okay. So some people really truly might go berserko. They might have a really hard time going through this one. Other people might have an easier time and feel more released. It depends on how much darkness is within them. Okay. So we might have total darkness wreaking havoc because of the power of the alignment of the sun and the moon. All right. Does that make sense for the eclipse? I hope it does. And I wish I would have said this with that, but because of this and the way that they say it and the way that I know the shadow works and the work that I did, the division of the shadow, the elimination of the shadow, things can be somewhat cryptic. And they talk about the 3 days of darkness. Could that be an actual 3 days of pure darkness where there's no light because the moon blocks the sun? It could be. I would say that's less likely. I feel like it's energetic based more, and it's going to cause people's shadows to rise and wreak havoc, and kind of like the dawn of the dead for like days on end. But within that, I feel like it's a shift of epic proportions, just like this says. Okay, so just like this says here, the power and activations are of biblical proportions when darkness turns to light. So I feel like this eclipse is way more about the shift in the energetic pull and the blueprint of the land around you even more, and all the alignment of the work that I did, the totality of it, the totality of the return of Christ, the totality of how potent the sun and the moon are, and how the sun's going to touch parts of the moon that she hasn't touched in a very, very, very long time. All of this coming together, these are unique within themselves. I think it's going to be bigger than just 3 days of darkness. I think this is on a soul level. This is of what you would call heaven and hell. This is the pure exposure and the division of all darkness and light. This is going to be pure epic proportion, biblical, prophetic. You cannot come back to, will not ever come back to, cannot repeat, cannot undo, cannot shy away from. It is literally a big separation of darkness and light. And I'm really glad I did this video on the eclipse. So I hope I know that was a little bit weird, little separated there because the card pull and everything, but I hope you're hearing me with the eclipse, because it's really hard for our mentality to process, but it's very real and it's very intense, and it's at biblical epic proportions. What it's going to be doing within the energy is so palpable and so valid and so epic. That's why they say grab your popcorn, my friends, because the energetic shift that's on the horizon, that is currently already beginning, people can already feel it. It's going to cause mental constructs. It's going constraints. It's going to cause these epic shifts on an internal soul level of people. And when they talk about darkness rising, it's all the darkness that's around can no longer hide. It's all surfaced. And as these energies rise, they can't handle it. It's like a pressure cooker. That's what I really feel into it. Does that mean that there won't be physical things playing out because of it? Yeah, there could be more volcanoes, more earthquakes, tornadoes, lightning storms, fires. All of the above are quite possible, and beyond. I might do part 2 of this one. I don't know, but it's something to be more mindful of, and it's something to truly not take lightly. Do your part every time to tune into this earth, to find more deeper connections with love, and to grow out of your karma completely. Because The shift is on, my friends. But it's not the final day. I don't think like that's the final day. Okay? I really don't. I feel like it's just more of a big, huge shift of the division of darkness and light. So much love. Have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful week ahead. But go be a game changer and change the game some way. Thank you for watching, my friends.